YouTube, have I got a treat for you here today? So we went 5-0 in this league, and it was a pretty damn huge achievement. Yeah, the deck performed really well. It was really quick when it needed to be, and when it was grindy, Floofy Paws, an absolute all-star. I did make some adjustments to my microphone settings. On my testing, it appeared like it went all well, but then during recording, when I got a little bit louder, the gain went slightly too high and it sounds a little bit staticky and disgusting. I'm going to try and fix that up in editing for you all. Just apologies about that. Hopefully it doesn't ruin the video for you too much. I'm going to do my best to fix it though. Thanks everyone. Enjoy the video. G'day YouTube, how the heck are we doing? It is Foul Play here, and we're back again for some more modern action. So a big thank you for everyone that's stopped by and been watching the content as of recent. The last two modern videos I had were my most popular ever in terms of view and in terms of subscribers gained. Definitely appreciate it, and I hope you guys are enjoying the content. All right, so we've had some decent success with the list we've been running. We've played 4 leagues. We're currently on 14 wins, 6 losses. So far, the deck is doing quite well. I have made a couple of minor adjustments to it, though. So for one, I'm going to be removing Alpha Authority, so 2-mana aura as a way to give our Light Paws hexproof. So mostly like, you get to the stage where you're playing Daybreak Coronet on your Slippery Bogle, and then you can potentially get a free Alpha Authority to get hexproof on your Floofy Paws as well. I don't know, I didn't see myself reaching for this interaction that often. I think in most cases, Totem Armor is going to be mostly good enough. Apart from if an opponent's playing Dress Down, and then that's something else that we're going to be discussing in just a little bit. So I think Cartouche could be helpful, maybe helpful against Edict effects as well. We've lowered the curve by 1 card, and we've got 1 additional effect for First Strike in there from 12 up to 13. So that's less important, but obviously if we have Rancor Audacity, we need to see some description of First Strike as well to attack into most things. So real super quick, if you're new here, the build I'm going for currently is maximizing on rebuild potential from Floofy Paws. So with Rancor, Sentinel's Eyes on Audacity, after, let's say, a Blast Zone activation, Engineered Explosives, where the board gets completely wiped. The idea is Rancor comes back from your graveyard to hand with its trigger, Sentinel's Eyes goes to the graveyard where it can be escaped, and Audacity gets you a fresh card draw. So Sentinel's Eyes, Rancor will give you your access to Vigilance and Trample, and Audacity will hopefully help draw you towards that First Strike in that scenario. Additional of note is the fact that the activation, the triggered ability on Floofy boards from the ETB does actually work with the escape from Sentinel's Eyes, so that's a nice little addition there. So thank you to everyone who voted in the poll as well. So I was asking for answers to Dress Down in the deck. Maybe a little naive of me. I should have put maybe a touch more research into this myself, but these were cards I came up with initially on my own. And Heroic Intervention, which is what I was running before, got 36% of the votes. Blacksmith Skill got 54% of the votes, although there are 2-3 other cards similar to this that have pretty much the same effect for us, and other was potential to be commented as well. There was one very important card that was not on the list though, and that card is Deafening Silence. So it should go without saying that if your opponent casts Dress Down, that is their first non-creature spell cast that turn, which makes Deafening Silence pretty effective into Dress Down. I guess it can still be weak to Subtlety, to Fury, sorry, not to Subtlety, to Solitude and Fury. Apart from that, I'm going to go for Tamiyo's Safekeeping as the other effect to help protect us here. So target permanent you control gains hexproof, indestructible until an end of turn. So I don't have to target the creature if I don't want to. I can target an aura. And also it gives me the option to gain life against burn, which is potentially pretty handy. Apart from that, the sideboard is pretty straightforward. Playset of Force, playset of Leyline, 2 Gadok Teague, as touched on before, the playset of Deafening Silence. Okay, without further ado, let's get into the first match. So, we lost the die roll here up against our opponent. Tideshaper on 0, okay. Well, we conventionally have a good matchup into Merfolk. That should hopefully ring true here. We have a good selection of auras in our starting hand as well. One thing they can do is they can keep us off double white, which can be pretty frustrating. And also they have force and negation interaction. And opponent attacking, no blocks from us. They also have Vidalian Hexcatcher interaction too. So I guess we'll just play around Vidalian Hexcatcher a little bit here. We've got a reasonable read on it. Alright, so now we can head to our attack step. It in. And throw down a Bogle to finish it off. So obviously Hexcatcher, no good into Bogle there. And our opponent end of turns in the Hexcatcher. So here comes Mutavault. Opponent activates. This is going to be an attack from our opponent. So that's going to be 5 damage here. And not much we can do about that currently. So just go ahead and take that damage. Ethereal Armor is a pretty nice draw. So we want to avoid getting blown out too hard by Hexcatcher. Our opponent was on their turn 3 and did miss a land drop. Currently they don't have double blue for Island Walklord, but they can have 2 sacrifices to start sacking, prevent auras from doing their thing. I think we want to start by casting Ethereal Armor. I think diversifying onto multiple creatures here is fine as well. So that does resolve, thankfully for us. And currently our opponent is the beatdown. That could change reasonably quickly though. I think we want to hold up some description of pressure. I might attack with the Scout with the Hyena Umbra on it. Look to leave the Bogle up for chump blocks, and then we can run out 2 regular blockers as well. And we're just looking to get to a position where we can resolve Daybreak past these activations here. Okay, no land drop from our opponent and no activations. We do find Rancor, and that's a pretty damn nice one. So let's start things off by throwing Rancor on Slippery Bogle. Opponent does not look to sacrifice anything. Very interesting. Alright, so I guess this will start really pressing the issue with Spirit Mantle now. Alright, so opponent does sacrifice the Tideshaper this time. It's going to allow us to attack in for 6 here, leaving the remainders back on blocking duty. And we're still really just looking for a good time to deploy Daybreak Coronet. Obviously, good draws of Ethereal and Rancor really helped us this match. Opponent does hit the island here. Interesting. I don't see a good point to play this Daybreak Coronet out. Opponent is casting Trickster, tapping down that Dryad Arbor. I'm going to lose the Dryad Arbor for this turn. I'm absolutely fine here just attacking in with the Bogle on its lonesome. And that will do for now. Play at a land and pass the turn. Still not a great point to deploy the Daybreak Coronet here. Alright, an opponent plays out Sphaloon. Sphaloon with enough power and toughness to be an issue for the Slippery Bogle. Although if our opponent wants to counter our Daybreak Coronet, they're going to have to pay the sacrifice effect for the Vodalian Hexcatcher, which is going to lose Indestructible for the Sphaloon, and I think we're in a pretty winning position here. So we'll just start off with Daybreak Coronet, and that requires our opponent to sack their entire board to stop it from resolving, so pretty good spot. Okay, well that resolved. Cool. Opponent concedes. Alright, on to sideboarding. Alright, so a reminder as well, guys, if you do enjoy this video, find it informative or entertaining, please consider subscribing for more like this. So this is a Merfolk list by Nikachu. It got a 5-0 in a Modern League. I think he played a recent event for the Magic 30 and it was not using Dockhand. But you can see here they can interact with our lands with the Tideshaper, with our spells with Vodalian Hexcatcher, with our creatures with Subtlety. Then there's also potential for Chalice of the Void, Spreading Seas, Force of Negation. If we resolve our spells, we're like pretty favored here, but there's not necessarily a huge guarantee that we always will. I think given the fact Chalice is pretty likely to be in our opponent's deck, probably 2 to 3 Force of Vigors on the draw is reasonable. Outside of that, I don't see too many auras that I'm in love, too many sideboard cards I'm in love with. Alright, so now we have to consider trimming some cards out, and Grispoon doesn't seem too strong in the matchup here. I think Hyena Umbra probably loses a little bit of value as well, because our opponent doesn't necessarily have like a Blast Zone or an Engineered Explosive. The first strike is not a great effect to go down on, but 2 copies shouldn't be backbreaking. So kicking things off here, our opponent has mulliganed to 6 cards. We see this interesting hand. It doesn't have a whole lot of action. Our opponent just counters Audacity. Our hand does effectively nothing, so we can go ahead and do the same. This hand does look a lot better. So I'll go ahead and keep this hand. I think we can put Floofy on the bottom. And opponent keeping their 6, going to Aether Vial here. So put Floofy on the bottom so we can play around Hexcatcher a little bit more assuredly. Fortunately, we just drew another land, so it's going to suck if opponent has a lot of Force of Negation interaction for us. So we dodged his Subtlety. That's a good start here. Alright, so opponent plays out, ticks up the Aether Vial, plays Cavern on Merfolk, and passes back to us. So we find Audacity. Not a bad one to see here. Alright, well, let's go ahead and play a land. I'm going to crack this land for Plains. I'll look to play out the Hyena Umbra here. The Hyena Umbra resolves, so that's a pretty good news for us. See what they do with the Audacity. Alright, here is Vodalian Hexcatcher. And he's just sacking that one straight away to prevent the Audacity from resolving. This probably signals to us that our opponent does not have a 1-drop in hand, so we'll get ahead, get that free attack in, and pass to our opponent's turn. Opponent hits their land drop, and I don't love this. This smells like a Force of Negation territory right now. And I don't love this either. Very interesting. Well, let's go ahead and pay some life here and keep our opponent as honest as we can with the Daybreak. Again, I really don't like this being countered potentially, but we have to pressure our opponent here as much as we can. If we trade this for 2 creatures, it's probably not the end of the world. That's actually probably okay. Oh, we trade it for 2 Hexcatchers. That's pretty good. 1 card left in our opponent's hand. I'm really glad that that was not a Silvergill Adept, or else we'd be in potentially a little bit of trouble with them replacing their own card. So now they have to sack the second one here. We're not able to pay for the second one, but opponent is getting low on resources. We get that attack in for 2. And Aethervial is ticked up to 3 here, so potential is Feloon, instant speed, 1 card in hand after playing out the Mutavault. Oh, and that's a pretty good one to find. Ethereal Armor, so that allows us to attack into a Feloon. And we're going to go ahead and do exactly that right now. Okay, no blocks from the opponent. So they're down to 12. End step. Hardcast Subtlety. Okay. Alright, so opponent leaving the Aethervial on 3 here. And there's the Mutavault activation as well. So it looks like they're going to attack in. I don't see a great use for Dryad Arbor just now, so I guess we'll take the 5. Currently ahead in the race anyway. Dryad Arbor can join our attack though, so that could be quite handy. We find Rancor. What a find. That is pretty fantastic stuff here. So Vial's on 3, so they can't activate Vial and for Hexcatcher and then activate Mutavault during the attack step. So seems like a reasonable spot to attack with both creatures here. All right, we're going to take our opponent all the way down to 4. Played our last land and passed the opponent. No Vial activation, no instant speed cast from the opponent. So potentially a land in hand for them. Potentially another Subtlety. All right, and there's the hard cast on the Silvergill Adept. I guess that's another potential card they can have. So they draw a card with the Silvergill Adept. If that's a Feloon, they can get it out with the Vial. And opponent concedes. All right, so that's pretty good. We successfully navigated against Merfolk on the back of 3 Vidalian Hexcatchers. I have a feeling like both of us rolled a little bit there, but actually flooding out in lands a little bit did help us play around these Hexcatchers. And additionally, drawing into Ethereal Rancor was very strong too. Okay, welcome back for the second match of this Modern League here, everybody. We won the die roll against Clockwork Dean, keeping this 7-card hand into what is an Obosh list. So obviously there's potential risk that we don't hit our second land drop, but in most Obosh matchups, Daybreak Coronet is going to be pretty strong if it is a mono red variant. They traditionally can have access to like Blast Zone, which can be a bit frustrating for us. So we brick on land, but we do draw the trample effect, so that's not too bad. I think I want to just deny Ragavan for a couple of turns until we're in a stronger spot. And they play out white mana as well, so this is a bit of a brew, I believe. Into the Relic of Progenitus and then passing to us. So I feel like the play here is either play an aura on our creature, grow up bigger, hold back on blocks again, or attack, use the scout to fog the Ragavan. So let's go ahead and attack with the scout here. Although, if we attack with the scout, that's playing into Blast Zone a little bit more. I think it's probably safer if we don't play into like 2 Blast Zones. Alright, so we play Audacity. Opponent chooses to cash in that Relic of Progenitus there. Plays the second Relic of Progenitus. Cracks the second Relic of Progenitus. Alright, so I literally have no idea what we're versing here. It could be a prison deck. I'm really not that certain. Alright, we do draw the land, so now this means we can play around that Blood Moon that potentially was terrifying as well. So throw down that Daybreak Coronet and start attacking in. Opponent with Seasoned Pyromancer here. Seeing 2 lots of Flame Slash hit the graveyard. There is Blast Zone. Alright, well, good news on the Blast Zone is we're going to be able to resolve that second Coronet. The first Coronet will, well, the creature will survive because of Totem Armor, excuse me. And the Coronets will keep each other attached to our guy. So go ahead and attack for a butt ton. I don't think we play either of these other auras in hand currently. Opponent looking to block with a couple of things. All right, cashing in. So we are going to trample a 7 damage there, put our opponent to 6. And opponent activates Blast Zone Sorcery Speed, giving us the Totem Armor activation, the card draw off Audacity, and we find another Audacity on top of having the Flying Evasion. Alright, so I found this list named Boros Aggro on MTG Goldfish, so I suppose that's what we're up against. We can see a one of planes in this list. We can see main deck Blood Moon, so we're happy to have dodged that one. Sideboard Magus of the Moon, Wear-Tear. Eidolon could be frustrating, but I don't think they're going to bring that in. Main deck Interaction of Fury to keep in mind when reloading on our creature. Reloading on Light Pause specifically. Since there's such a high chance of Blood Moon blowing us out, I'm going to look to bring in the Force of Vigor here. It doesn't seem to be a traditional burn deck, so I'm not going to bring in a Leyline of Sanctity. That can stay where it is. I suppose Tamiya's Safekeeping could also be another consideration here. Alright, I'm going to do a bit of a rainbow sideboarding out. I don't think Grismoon is going to be particularly amazing here. We can get it back from the graveyard, but that's not the end of the world. Floofy Paws, probably okay as a 2 or 3 of, but we don't want to be overloaded into our opponent's deck. And then just trimming on All That Glitters and Audacity and a Temple Garden. Just round it out, allow for these boards in. Okay, we see this opening hand with a creature, not a very good creature. Force of Vigor interaction, and unfortunately this is mulligan despite having the basic planes into a moon deck. So this looks a lot better. We can ditch the Dryad Arbor. Keep everything else. A little bit weak to Blast Zone, but I suppose not all hands are going to have everything. When it plays the Arid Mesa and passes to us, we find Razorverge Thicket, so let's throw that one down. So this is going to allow us to Rancor Audacity next turn, which could be strong. And then getting a Triome land here, Arid Mesa. Then they just pass back to us, so yeah, I suppose we just throw down Rancor Audacity. Unless, like, I'm assuming my opponent is on this Boros deck with the Obosh, despite the Triome entering the fray. Alright, and that resolved, which is alarming. Does this mean that they have a creature that can block at instant speed? I don't really think there's any creatures I'm playing around. I could be getting blown out here. I do not. Okay. So this could be Blood Moon, and then we just simply planes from hand Spirit Mantle. We see a Seasoned Pyromancer though, creating 2 elementals. Sure thing. And just passing back to us. Wow. Well, we're in a very, very strong spot here. So Daybreak Coronet. Ethereal Armor. We don't have Totem Armor, so Spirit Mantle, Ethereal are basically equal to each other anyway. Should I say Spirit Mantle, Daybreak in this case. So we'll just deal damage as we are. Trample over the top. Knock our opponent to 5. Alright, and there it is, Blast Zone. So Blast Zone's going to get us this time. We're going to get Rancor back, going to get card draw from Audacity. And we find Floofy Paws, a lovely find right there. We'll play the Rancor they already know about. I think we get another copy of Hyena Umbra here. Give it that protection. Pass to opponent. Actually, I think Rancor fetching Hyena is incorrect. If our opponent has Lightning Bolt plus Fury, we lose our creature. If we Hyena Umbra fetch Ethereal Armor, we get out of range of 2 burn effects dealing with Floofy. So that was certainly a misplay. Apologies for that. As it is, opponent plays Relic, cycles Relic, plays Prismatic Ending on the Hyena Umbra. Inspiring Vantage in tapped, 3 cards left in their hand, and Hyena Umbras are coming in hot here. We do have lethal. We'll fetch the ethereal armor for good measure and then attack to finish our opponent off. So we're 2-0 in this league. Great start. Okay, welcome back for match number 3 versus Bleach Boy here. We're on the die roll, we're on the play. I'd love to keep this hand, but the only aura in hand is Daybreak Coronet, and that's just a little bit too weak. So mulligan, this hand is looking a lot better, so we'll keep this one. Look to bottom the Audacity here. And kick it off with Creature Pass. Alright, so opponent plays Spirebluff Canal into a Ragavan. Suppose this could be, is it Murktide? Off of specifically these 2 cards. We find Ethereal Armor, so what's going to be really, really good here for us is this Sentinel's Eyes, giving that Vigilance effect. Followed up by Ethereal Armor, giving us lots of power and toughness. Alright, so now opponent is adding a Dragon's Rage Chandler to the battlefield. We see a Mishra's Bauble as well. They crack the Bauble targeting us. They know what is coming next. And no attacks, unsurprisingly. Oh my, that's a pretty good one. Well, we had the same power and toughness with a Rancor and Hyena Umbra. So we had 1 more power. But this will give us that trample effect, which is going to be really strong into our opponent. Opponent with the Spell Pierce. Oh wow, that's pretty backbreaking here. It's a shame. Alright, so we'll follow it up with Hyena Umbra. And I mean, Daybreak Coronet lives to fight another day, but you can see already they have interaction via Otawara and Spell Pierce. When it jumped with the monkey off to the big grave. And there it is, Expressive Iteration. So 1 on top, Spirebluff to exile. Spirebluff played. Impossible for another Spell Pierce here. Opponent attacking with their flyer. Does this mean Ragavan's going to be on chump blocking duty? No. Holding up counter magic here. I mean, I suppose we make them have it. There's no need to give our opponent that kind of respect. Daybreak resolves. And in for 10. End of turn, opponent considers. That's a Polluted Delta to the graveyard. Sorry, that's Lightning Bolt to the graveyard. Oh, they conveyed with both. One was bottomed by Considered Surveil, right? My mistake, apologies. So that's a win for game 1 here. On to sideboarding. Okay, so we all know what our opponent's deck is about by now. They have a Dress Down interaction, they have Engineered Explosives interaction. Basically, they play some pretty good value creatures, finishing off with a hard-hitting Murktide Regent. A little bit of interaction with Spell Pierce plus Counterspell. And annoyingly, potentially Blood Moon. Alright, so we have Deafening Silence in this sideboard for one thing and one thing only. I think this is probably the combination of cards we want to be considering to bring in. I think maybe Tamiyo Safekeeping might be a little bit of overboarding, so I might just put that to the side for now. So I'm going to look to trim on potentially 6 cards here. I think maybe All That Glitters loses a bit of value because we're going to be boarding out a few auras most likely. Probably a Floofy as well. Alright, so I think it's All That Glitters, Cartouche, 2 Floofy Paws, and 2 Audacity. So no room for Tamiyo Safekeeping this time. Might adjust our boarding in future games. We'll see what happens. Alright, so opponent mulligan to 6, and we see this as 7, and it's a little bit tragic, so we'll throw that one back. Maybe like a double Floofy Paws hand on the play would be worthwhile with like 3 lands and 1 mana aura. But, I mean, currently it's not looking too great for us. I think we have to mulligan this one as well. Wow, and still no Hexproof, boy. We're going to 4. We'll keep this. We ditch a land, Temple Garden, Slippery Bogle, and keep some pretty reasonable stuff, but sure my opponent's going to have interaction. Alright, so good news is no turn 1 monkey. It's the Dragon's Rage Chandler. We hit Daybreak Coronet, so I mean, hand's looking pretty strong. If we can dodge Counter Magic plus Blood Moon would be nice. We do have to hit that land drop as well, though. I'm going to be in a lot of trouble, a world of hurt. All right, Deafening Silence. Very nice, very nice. I think we can assume whatever aura we cast here is probably going to get countered. So I guess Rancor is more valuable because we have first strike on the Daybreak Coronet. Opponent with Consider, so this might be a Spell Pierce here from them. So Consider the graveyard. Fiery Islet to the graveyard as well, and there is the Spell Pierce, unfortunately. Surveil on Holy Heat. Alright, and on to attacks. Good news is no monkey yet. Opponent's down to 3 in hand, so it's even Steven in that department. They make their land drop. No Blood Moon yet either, so happy to see that. Dragon's Rage Channeler does attack here for 1 again. And no other effects from the opponent. Alright, well, we find Basayu, and that's an interesting one. Because it is a land that doesn't get us closer to Daybreak Coronet. I think we play it out anyway, though. We play out the Rancor now. See if our opponent has counterspell interaction here. It's a very high upside if they don't counter this Rancor, because it does give us the potential to resolve a Daybreak Coronet next turn, right? So it looks like the Rancor does resolve, fortunately for us. So we're going to be going for this Deafening Silence post-combat. They might want this off the stack, I'm not sure. Deafening Silence resolves. All right. This is going to be pretty strong into Dress Down specifically. Opponent plays Lightning Bolt end step. Surveilling Dragon's Rage Channeler to the bin. And still no artifact in the graveyard. Still no Delirium active for Dragon's Rage Channeler. And getting in there again with that Dragon's Rage Channeler. Putting us to 14. See Engineered Explosives on 1. I mean, yeah, that was always a potential. We mobbed it 4. What are we going to do? We are up a game, though, so that is the good news. Oh, and yeah, right on time. Thank you, Hyena Umbra, for your service. So I think our opponent does play this well. So they play for the end step active. If they'd have popped that one early, it gives us the potential to play creature plus totem armor on the next creature. So they're really destroying our tempo by playing it a little bit more patiently and taking that 3 damage. So Expressive Iteration from the opponent here. Steam Vents enters the battlefield, taking 2 on the shock. I guess that means counterspells coming our way at some point. That's a shame. There's probably Fatty Murktide about to enter the battlefield here. Opponent with another Expressive Iteration. Finding the Monkey Boy. Plays Monkey Boy not for dash. Okay. Like, this is just such a big read on specifically Counterspell, right? And we draw another Rancor. Well, there is a potential world where our opponent misplays and we draw the creature at the exact right turn, get in there and win. I'm just going to save time, start going to sideboarding here. All right, so I think maybe I'm going to trim on 1 Deafening Silence for 1 Tamiyo's Safekeeping. Do we want to bring anything else back in here? I think the playset of Sentinel's Eyes while we're on the play is very, very strong because it allows us to Vigilance attack turn 2 into a Ragavan and deny the Ragavan. Maybe we want to minus out like Griffspoon for all that glitters just to play around that rubbish Engineered Explosives a little bit better. If we're on the play, are we as worried about Blood Moon? Maybe not. Maybe we'll go down to 1 force, bring back in a Floofy. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Let's submit. All right, and on the play, we see this hand with Floofy. I mean, Floofy is pretty good, but it's too risky with one Floofy into a Lightning Bolt deck, right? All right, so this is looking a lot better. We'll keep it. We'll bottom a 1 Scout and get into it. Opponent also on 6 cards as well. So fairly even on material. Fetch land into Mishra's Bauble, so targeting themselves now, filtering their own draw. Immediately cracking the Flooded Strand now. And that's the Steam Vans. I mean, we get a pretty big read here on Spell Pierce, right? No, it's second main Dragon's Rage. Okay. Mishra's Bauble, draw trigger. And there's no real reason not to just unload a million billion auras, right? So we'll go ahead and throw them down on our creature, start attacking for 3. So we could spend 2 mana, play Floofy Paws, and then have our opponent potentially be a little bit annoying. As it is, they play Legishredder, miss their land drop, and then pass the turn to us. So it just screams a really good opportunity to me to resolve that Daybreak Coronet, pass counter magic, and also not activate the Legishredder Convey. Opponent jumps with the Dragon's Rage. We also have, if our opponent does manage to wipe the ward through our Totem Armor, we do have Floofy Paws to help rebuild at that point. All right, so Mishra's Bauble, that one was targeting us, and then they play Consider, Spire Bluff Canal, Ragavan to the bin, Legishredder Convey active, and opponent does attack in the air here. Okay, so that's pretty good. I mean, I think our opponent's best interaction is Dress Down at this point. Wow, we just draw this. In the case that it is Dress Down, we do keep all our effects, so we're still in just a very, very strong spot. So Ethereal Armor resolves. We'll play out Rancor into the Convey, but this can potentially put our opponent to 1, which can be very, very worth it if this resolves as well. And Rancor resolves. All right, we're going to attack for 13 here. If our opponent has Dress Down, okay, they're not going for it. What's this end step? Consider. Wow. We are very far ahead right now. Just that one critical point off. Lightning Bolt phase conveys. We should say Expressive Iteration to the graveyard off the Considerer as well. Opponent concedes. We take down Murktide, currently 3-0. Massive stuff. All right, so here for match number 4, everybody. Our opponent has revealed a Gigantha Companion. So looks like that can mean a few things. We've got Death Shadow, we've got Zoo, we've got Tron, we've got Izzet Prowess, some Sacrifice decks, some Affinity, some Jund Saga. There's a lot here. I think given that list, it's probably a little bit risky keeping a Floofy Paw hands. If I knew it was exclusively Tron, I'd be keeping it though. Okay, that's a shame. Alright, I guess we're going to be keeping this 5-card Floofy Paws hand and ditch Ethereal Armor, ditch a land. Is it that land we want to ditch? It's probably this land. I guess Ethereal could be good into Tron. That could set us up for a turn 3 win, so we'll go with that. Opponent, Spire Bluff Canal, Dragon's Rage Channeler. Oh god. Please no Lightning Bolt, please no Unholy Heat, because this is going to be tragic if they have that. Alright, Arid Mesa. Our opponent cracks Arid Mesa here. Mountain. Mishra's Bauble, Surveil trigger. Sprite Dragon to the bin. Second Mishra's Bauble, Convey trigger. Spire Bluff Canal to the bin. Cracks Mishra's Bauble. This one targeting themselves. Manamorphose, Surveil trigger. And we see a Swift Spear to the bin now. Second Mishra's Bauble, targeting our opponent again. Is this Sprite Dragon? So Floofy Paws lives? Wow. That's massive. All right, opponent attacks for 5. And we're going to get to untap with Floofy Paws. If we hit a land here, it's a turn 3 win. We blank on land, but we're certainly in an extremely strong position here. So Floofy, trigger, get the Ethereal Armor. Ethereal Armor, trigger, get Hyena Umbra. Alright, that should be a pretty safe Floofy Paws. Potentially can get bounced by Brazen Borrow, by Echoing Truth. But that's a really good spot to navigate ourselves to somehow, or to have our opponents navigate us to. So Swift Spear. Oh god, maybe we should have gone for Vigilance here. Maybe we got slightly too greedy. Let's see how many triggers, how much damage this is. One more spell and it's going to be lethal for sure. And opponent attacks for 10. That puts us to 2. Wow! Holy crap. That's a crazy win. I can't believe it. Alright, so we'll make the assumption our opponent is on Izzet Prowess because, I mean, look at this. Look at everything we dodged. 4 lightning bolts, 4 lava darts, and 2 unholy heats. We are so gosh darn lucky there. Looks like more unholy heat in the sideboard, potentially Flusterstorm, although that doesn't really interact with us. So Shattering Spree, Vapor Snag, I mean, yeah, this is all looking pretty good for us. Okay, so with sideboarding, I don't think we want Leyline of Sanctity. This is a Prowess deck. They have lots of Prowess creatures. The Prowess creatures deal more damage than the burn spells do. That being said, Deafening Silence is going to be a very, very strong addition for us. I think we want to trim on 2 Floofy Paws. And then maybe Spirit Mantle all that glitters. I didn't see any Blast Zone, Engineered Explosives in that example list. That doesn't mean that this opponent won't have it though. As far as sideboarding is concerned though, we're going to play as if they don't have it. Alright, so Jegantha revealed again. We see this hand. We've got Vigilance. We've got First Strike. This hand looks really good. I'm going to keep. We've got Totem Armor as well. Just need to hit that second land drop. Yes, missing on Trample, missing on Lifelink, but definitely a very, very strong 7. Opponent, turn 1, Dragon's Rage Channeler. We hit Floofy off the top. Alright, we'll play out our Gladecover Scout and pass back. Opponent with a Monastery Swiftspear attacking in with both creatures. No blocks from us. We hit our land. Great find. So Sentinel's Eyes is the most important thing here. And then I think second most important is going to be Totem Armor. This is going to give us a guaranteed block no matter what. And just attack with that Vigilance damage. End step, opponent cracks out of Mesa, Steam Vents in tapped. So here we are, Manamorphose, getting these triggers happening. Surveil, Steam Vents to the bin. Manamorphose for blue-red. Expressive Iteration now. Alright, and Soulscour Mage into the graveyard with the Surveil. We see a second Soulscour Mage in exile. Scalding Tarn from hand. And attacking with both their creatures. I guess we don't really have a block here. Our opponent's not threatening lethal though, so that's okay. Second main plays a Soulscour. Sure thing. Find Floofy. Alright, so guess we're all in on our one guy. Get a little Vigilance token off to the side. Mostly drawing to that First Strike effect now. Opponent has a decision to make. Do they want to chump block or not? And looks like no chump block, so we put them to 4. We're evasion off of killing them. With a potentially precarious life total at just 10. All right, opponent begins all their action. A Vapor Snag on the warrior token. That's already gone. We're going to lose a life from that Vapor Snag, unfortunately. Lightning Bolt to face. That's going to put us to 6. And with these triggers, they're going to have enough damage wide to kill us. So looks like we're going to be seeing a third game. And Lava Dart as well. Wow, that's us well and truly dead here. So that's pretty interesting. It looks like our opponent has got Vapor Snag for Floofy Paws, so that potentially makes her a little bit weaker again than what we had in the previous match there. Maybe we just want to minus her out altogether or leave one copy in. Tamiya's safekeeping could help us. Probably not. We probably just want auras, right? Alright, let's ditch all copies of Floofy Paws. Alright, so match 4, game 3 here on the play. I think this is a keep. We have 2 Deafening Silence, which is extremely good against our opponent's deck. We have First Strike, we have Vigilance, we have Trample. We're missing literally 1 land drop and lifelink, but other than that, we've got everything we could ask for. Alright, opponent keeping a 7-card hand here. And onto their turn. Wooded Foothills, cracking for Steam Vents. Dragon's Rage Channeler, that's not a problem. Mishra's Bauble, Convey Trigger. Surveil Trigger, pardon. So this time they're targeting us with the Mishra's Bauble. And that's not land. I think mostly here we want to just try and delay to Daybreak Coronet. So let's Hyena Umbra, hold up Chump Blocks for Dragon's Rage Channeler. Maybe we should attack. They have instant sorcery and they instant speed the Delirium. We're in a pretty bad spot by chump blocking. Alright, here it comes. Lava Dart, Surveil Trigger. So Surveil to top. Dragon's Rage Channeler can attack for 3 now, so we did miss out on 2 points of damage there. So opponent missed their land drop here, attacking in for 3 in the air. We untap and we miss ours, finding Glade Cover Scout. So I decide here to play out the Deafening Silence, figuring if I resolve Daybreak Coronet, I pretty much win anyway. If our opponent's to draw a land, drop creature, start lava darting, things like that, our life total could get dicey pretty quickly. So Deafening Silence just slowing down the game with enough time for us to resolve our Daybreak Coronet. That's what we go for. Attack for 2, knock our opponent down to a 15 here. Opponent does find the land, finds the Swift Spear, attacks in, doesn't cast any non-creature spell. Maybe they got thrown off by the silence a little bit there. We find Horizon Canopy, so don't have to think twice here. We go ahead, we throw down Daybreak Coronet, go for the attacks, and opponent concedes. 7th match here, the final match for all the marbles. We lost the die roll, opponent on the play, keeping a 7. Going to be starting off by a mulligan to 6, and this is a pretty good looking 6, so I'm going to go ahead and ditch the Bogle there, and we can get into it. Flooded Strands and passes to us. We find Ethereal Armor off the top. We could not ask for a better Aura Suite in hand. This is fantastic. No end of turn crack on the Flooded Strand. This is during my opponent's turn, and I guess they made a mistake there and they accidentally skipped through. So 1 land up for the opponent here. We'll Rancor and then Ethereal Armor. I don't think we're running into Spell Pierce here, but Trample is slightly more valuable given our hand. Oh, maybe not. Maybe Ethereal Armor is more valuable. Alright, opponent fetches out that Sacred Foundry. We get to attack for 5, putting them down to 13. Rats, there is a prismatic ending. We see Pasayu as well, and probably a Renin 6. 2nd prismatic ending. Wow. Opponent going hard here. We brick on land drop, which is slightly unfortunate. I think we just throw down the All That Glitters here. If we don't draw land next turn, it's 1 more damage. So we'll go for that. Get in. Opponent's on 11. Seasoned Pyromancer, and I'm okay to see that. Discarding Unholy Heat Solitude. Okay. Misty Rainforest is played. We find Audacity. So we'll buff our Power Toughness, our toughness up to 4 if we play both these auras. No, 5, up to 5. All right, well, that seems reasonable to me. Slightly better than the Spirit Mantle. So a 7/5 gets to attack here. Pretty good. Opponent's already down at 11. This is a very troubling, or potentially troubling for them. Down to 3 off the crack. There is the Temple Garden. Is it Omnath? Omnath gain 1,000,000 life. Ren and 6. Okay. Do they have the Besayu continue lock? Returning Misty Rainforest from the grave. Oh, that's got to be good for us. Prismatic Ending on the Audacity. All right, well, we still have 1 more evasion effect in hand. And as long as our opponent doesn't have Counterspell, it's going to look pretty damn good for us. All right, let's Spirit Mantle. Okay, and we just get to attack here. Cracks on Misty Rainforest. Oh my goodness. Representing the Besayu. Taking out the Spirit Mantle. What's that give us? A 4/4. Alright, well, let's start going wide, I guess. I'm a little unsure on how to proceed from here. Guess we get the Forest. Attack our opponent directly, because they can block with just a single creature. I've already seen 2 Prismatic Endings. If we play Audacity, we could expose it to removal, or we could get it past Counter Magic. I guess we want to try and dodge the removal here. Play out Scout. Opponent Ren and 6 getting back Besayu. When did that go to the graveyard? What the hell? Oh wait, no, they just played it from hand. What am I thinking? Bloody Ren and 6. Here's Teferi, everybody's favorite card. Plus on the Teferi. Alright, let's hit a second evasion effect off the top here. Floofy Paws. Alright, so Floofy Paws is still pretty decent. And we'll Audacity on our Scout. Trigger Floofy Paws when it enters. Alright, so trigger on Floofy. Draw. Draw to Rancor. Tax. Opponent has Besayu interaction on Audacity. And I guess Scout's on just biding its time currently, the second Scout. So there's Besayu, trigger. We'll continue to go wide. We'll get Dried Arbor this time. Draw effect from Audacity finds us Windswept Heath. Opponent jumps it out. Ticks up that rune again. Bounces Floofy. Opponent, are you sure you want to give us double trample? Interesting tactic. And Omnath. Cool. Ren and 6 returns Besayu, plays Triome, gaining 4 life. Opponent cannot currently activate their Besayu in hand. Very interesting line. I guess they were looking to high roll on Omnath and hit the Triome instead. So we can Floofy Paws now. Imagine if we had something that gave haste. It would truly be magical. I guess we just want to continue getting some description of evasion. And I don't see a huge point on going wide with these auras, so we'll go in on the same scout again. Probably safest to get the Audacity. So this should be lethal. Alright, everything at our opponent. Alright, and damage. Well and truly trampling enough damage. Any effects from the opponent? Wait. What's this? I'm unsure as to why they got that at instant speed. Oh, they have the legendary creature, so it only costs 1. Alright, that was not something that I was accounting for in my math then. Alright, well, we'll get Rancor back down on the field. Another Floofy trigger. Yes, Cartouche of Solidarity should be fine. As many bodies as possible is probably where we want to be. Expressive Iteration. Okay, great. That is completely and utterly terrifying. Flooded Strand to Exile. I mean, that's life gain. Not really what we want to see. Cracks. So now they get mana. Second Teferi. Okay. Bouncing Floofy. We get a lot of cards now back on. We can get flying on our scout. Icefang Quattle. Oh my god. This is like so impossible right now. Something. Gas. No! Come on, deck. What the hell? 4 cards in our opponent's hand. Basayu, active, ready to be annoying. Alright, I guess we start powering up our warrior token. Because why the hey not? Play a land, go to attacks. Opponent's filtering our deck pretty effectively for us, although this can go at Teferi, right? Let's get rid of Teferi for good. Endurance. Okay. Well, we keep our, like, that doesn't really interact favorably with our graveyard, so that's kind of nice. Alright, so Endurance trigger on the stack. Graveyard is gone. And go to blockers for the opponent now. My guess is block, and yeah, there's Basayu. I mean, I think my opponent should have done that a little bit differently. Oh wait, that shuffles Dried Arbor back in? That's interesting. So I get Temple Garden though. Continue. So block. Alright, sure. So we still have first strike here, so Quattle dies. This stuff dies. Hopefully they don't have the second endurance. We're taking our own life total a little too low for my liking here, but let's just continue with the Rancor being a great card. Get Audacity onto Floofy. And pass. Alright, what can this disgusting money pile do this turn? Teferi, pluses, Wrenn and 6, Emblem, Lightning Bolt, Audacity, draw trigger, Ethereal Armor is found. Opponent still can't attack favorably. And we do have a second creature we can go in on here, but first and foremost, let's go ahead and get back this Griffspoon from the graveyard, that second source of evasion on our creature. Go ahead and attack. Alright, so first thing is first. Opponent tapping 2 mana here. Instant Speed, Prismatic Ending on the All That Glitters. Goodbye, All That Glitters. I'm gonna miss you, buddy. I'm gonna miss you. So they have discard land and they can exile again. We still have First Strike, which is definitely handy. No blocks from the opponent. That's gonna put them to 2. Oh dear God, I skipped through my turn accidentally. I went to like make sure I pushed 5 to stop all yields and just ended up yielding through instead. Apologies. I was planning on putting down Bogle and 2 auras attached to Bogle to help attack wide potentially. Abundant Growth on land, sure. I think we're still mostly okay here though. I think the plan is actually probably go all in on this 1 scout and look to trample fly over the top of what our opponent is doing. Opponent gains 4 life. Passes to us. We find Floofy. Floofy, yeah, sure. Jam. Why the hell not? Alright, Ethereal Armor on Scout. Trigger Floofy. Guess we just continue to get these audacities to continue to grow our Floofy. Just get that card draw after all the interaction our opponent will have, right? Alright, Floofy, trigger, Cartouche. Cool, Cartouche, token. Attack step, attack with Scout. Opponent should still have 1 Basayu's interaction. Possibly another Prismatic. Prismatic on the Flying Aura. Griffspoon gone to Exile Pasture. Prismatic Ending from the graveyard on Rancor. Exiled. We have a Chunky Scout still attacking. Endurance for the chump block. Opponent 0 cards in hand now. Obviously the rebound effect a little bit stronger than just getting Basayu back. Alright, opponent 1 card draw to get there. I guess Teferi can bounce Abundant Growth and that's technically, what, 3 cards drawn? So plenty of action still left for opponent. Opponent bounces their Abundant Growth, drawing a card. Teferi off the battlefield now. Unholy Heat on Emperor. Alright, we draw Sentinel's Eyes off the Audacity trigger. Abundant Growth on their land, draw trigger. 2 in hand for opponent. Another Prismatic Ending, really? Holy shit, man. Taking out Ethereal Armor this time. Wow. Opponent needs to calm the hell down. Alright, let's throw down this Sentinel's Eyes and attack with everything. Opponent has to block with Omnath now. Could still have interaction. Oh god, what is this? Seasoned Pyromancer tokens. Lame as heck. I did not see that. Sorry, the graveyard is comprehensive. Alright, that's very, very frustrating. Play out our Hexproof creature. Pass turn. Opponent still tapping for action. Expressive Iteration now. Iteration finds Fury. Holy crap, this is backbreaking. Ah, god no. Leave me alone. 2 cards in hand for the opponent still. Ethereal Armor off the top. Alright, Ethereal Armor on the Scout. Let's attack with everything. Opponent's interaction can still be really good if they get another Prismatic Ending. Takes 5, goes to 1. Okay. Can we do it? Come on, opponent. Brick, just one time, buddy. Please. And by brick, I mean not land. Although, land is pretty good for us right now. Alright, Horizon Canopy. We will cycle the Horizon Canopy. Find Hyena Umbra. Sure. Alright, let's get in there. Let's attack everything. Opponent, 3 cards in hand, 3 buys to interaction. Potential Icefang Coddles, potential Solitude. Alright, here comes Solitude. No chosen creatures on Solitude. I don't know if it can choose his own creature or not. Yeah, it can choose his own creature. He chooses not to. Alright, so just double chump block. Opponent, 1 card in hand now. Suppose one of those cards could be Omnath. Wow, we take the victory, and that is a very long game 1. Alright, so I'm definitely happy to have stolen game 1 from our opponent there. It gets a lot harder in sideboarding though. So we see interaction of Supreme Verdict, of Dress Down, of, I suppose, Hallowed Moonlight, which can interact with Floofy as well. Veil of Summer doesn't really hit us, but there are more Basayus to come. And more counter magic. Chalice of the Void main deck. Oh man, that wouldn't be good. Leyline of Binding main deck. Goodness, this is going to be very, very troubling to try and beat. Alright, so here's the plan. 2 Gadok Teeg. This shuts down a lot of their stuff. Their Prismatic Endings, their Chalice of the Voids, their Leyline of Bindings. It's not perfect because they can bounce it with Teferi though. Deafening Silence. So this is going to be good into Dress Down plus any form of interaction removal sort of thing. Tamiyo's Safekeeping. So if we don't have Deafening Silence, that's going to help us out. Can also give Hexproof into our enchantments in response to a Basayu activation. Oh god, oh god, oh god, no, oh god. Oh shit, I ran out of time, I'm sorry. Alright, so that means we just had our original deck without any sideboarding. This hand is reasonable. I think we can keep. It could be better, it could be worse. At least we're jam-packed full of auras. We want to see 1 extra land here. Opponent Steam Vents in tap to kick things off. We find Windswept Heath. Alright, that's a really good start for us. Crack that Windswept Heath. Temple Garden. Let's fetch it out. I'm really sorry for that, guys. I wasn't keeping track of the clock. I was wanting to give you guys as comprehensive reasoning as possible. And I lost track a little bit there. So we find the second Bogle. Let's kick it off with Rancor here. Rancor resolves. Hyena Umbra. Opponent cracks now. Sacred Foundry in tapped. Hyena Umbra has resolved. Slippery Bogle attacking for 4. Alright, that's really good. We've gotten the tempo we want initially off the bat here. Opponent Stomping Ground in tapped. What interaction is this? Like Wear-Tear? So the interaction's probably Leyline of Binding from the opponent, and they can cast exactly 1 copy of Leyline of Binding. I think we want to make this turn as awkward as possible for our opponent. So I'm going to put down Hyena Umbra to increase the damage as much as we can. Going to attack for 5. Alright, and then just play out a creature, play out a Dryad Arbor. Pass turn. No Leyline of Binding. Okay. Strange. Opponent still holding up interaction here. We find Ethereal Armor. Sure. Ethereal Armor seems very, very strong. We definitely put this on our trample creature. Just go ahead, start attacking with a little bit of everything. So that is lethal damage. Opponent does have to interact here. Taps, taps, taps. It's 3 mana. Force of Vigor Hardcast. Interacting with our Hyena Umbras. So this could mean Engineered Explosives is on its way. Definitely leaving this Bogle in hand now. Opponent on 2 life. Prismatic Ending on the Rancor. So that's not going to come back from the grave. Engineered Explosives. Cracks Engineered Explosives. Sweeping the board. Okay, if we draw an aura here, we win. We need a 1 or 2 mana aura we can equip. Alright, that's not it yet, but let's cycle the Horizon Canopy. Now Razorverge Thicket will come in untapped, and we find the Sentinel's Eyes. Alright, beautiful. We win! Yes! That's the 5-0, guys. Oh my god, that is such a huge feeling. Incredible. So, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a big believer of the deck list, and we finally put together a real result here with the 5-0 against some very formidable opponents. We took out Merfolk, we took out Boros Bosch, Murktide, Blue-Red Prowess, and finally Omnath Pile. What can I say? I am absolutely stoked. I could not be happier. Yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this brings you a lot of excitement as well. It just goes to show the reach of the deck, going toe-to-toe with Omnath with that much interaction. It's really impressive. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. Chuck up poggers down in the comment section below, because that was one heck of a league, and subscribe for more action like this. Thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.